Hello everyone and welcome back to the unemployment journey where we will be travelling across Europe's major leagues and trying to win as many trophies as possible. And following that 1-1 draw against Freiburg, we've stayed unbeaten really. 2 wins in the Euro Cup 2, 1 win in the Bundesliga and 2 draws in there as well. So let's just take you through the results. So we had a really comfortable 2-0 win over Dudelange. They didn't have a shot in the game at all. Played a relatively second string team just because they're just not very good. So I could win this comfortably with a second string team anyway. Then against Hanover we had a 1-1 draw. They scored pretty early on, but we dominated the rest of the game. We got the goal, but we just couldn't get a winner out of that game. Then the game against Mainz, we went 1-0 down pretty early again, but then 2 back-to-back goals, so one from Sal just before half-time, and then Player with the winner in the 79th minute. Gouiri missing a penalty in there as well, which wasn't great, but he bounced back from that with 2 goals in the 3-0 win over Rijeka, and that meant that we have now finished top of the group, and you can see there by 3 points. So we needed that win. And I don't think, has a draw happened yet? So it looks like there is there's a first knockout round which we're not in, and I think these are teams that got knocked out of the actual Europa League. It might be. Hang on, let me just check Zenit and their fixtures. Yeah, so these are teams that got knocked out of the Europa League, and there'll be a playoff there, I guess, and then we'll come in February where the second knockout round's going to be, and then we will presumably play one of them, maybe another team that's already qualified from one of the groups as well. But in any case, we're through, but it is a bit of a shame that some of the harder teams are coming now. Probably teams a bit more to our level that were a little bit unlucky to get knocked out of the Europa League. But the most recent game, 0-0 against Wolfsburg. Again, we were the better team there. Cucurella played very, very well in that game, but we just couldn't get the winner. But we've got one game against Schalke, which is just before the winter break, and I've organised a little trip to Australia for the team. One of the objectives that we had from the board was to increase commercial revenue. So I figured a tour of Australia would be a nice little warm weather training camp, as well as some games in there and one against our affiliate that is signed as well to increase commercial revenue. But let's take you to the team that's going to play away to Schalke, and we've got Kevin Trapp back from injury. He's not fully fit yet, but I just think he's a much better keeper than Rono. Even though Rono's played relatively okay, Trapp is just that little bit better. Toure, Mustafi, Hinteregger and Cucurella have established themselves as our first choice back four, with Sal and Askasibar in that holding midfield roles, with Sabitzer, Kubo, Kostic and Gouiri up front. Zivkovic drops to the bench, even though he's played relatively well, but I just think that Kostic is giving us something different at the moment, and we might as well keep him going on with that form. He is the most informed player in the side at the moment. Kamya just played very, very well as well when he's come into the team, especially in those Euro Cup 2 games. So we might see him later on in the game as well. But that's going to be the team, and let's see how Schalke are lining up for this one. They're not doing very well in the league. They're about 13th in the table, and you can see there. We've got a 4-3-3 going on. Some big names in there. Elvedi, Nastasic, Hector, Bentaleb, Romero, Harriet in there as well. So they're a good team. It's just I don't know how they're so far down the table with players like that in their team. But hopefully if we can get some European football this year, and a few of their premium players are a bit unhappy, then maybe we can look at getting one or two of them in our side. But we are looking good this year, and you can see there in that little mini table down there, we're still in that conversation at that fourth space. I think Bayern will be able to climb well back up the table, even though we're near enough on the same points as them. But I've got a good feeling about this, and like you saw with the first couple of seasons, or well, the first season in particular with Venlo, we didn't do that well at the start of the season, and we sort of grew into it. But here we've sort of pretty much hit the ground running, and we like to see that. Like, it just goes to show that if they get used to my style of play and they get used to the way that the new signings have bedded in, then we're just going to go to another level. And I think if we can establish ourselves as a Europa League team in the first season, then there's no reason why we can't challenge for the Champions League spots in the second season. But who knows, like, if we play good football like we've been doing so far this season, it's a good save there from the keeper, then there's no reason why we can't challenge for Champions League football in the next year after that. So that's the aim. We just need to make sure that we back up our performances to a point where we are challenging for those, and let's just tell them to get creative a little bit. We're keeping a lot of the ball, getting some shots on target, but we just need the ball in the back of the net before inevitably they do. And we've had a habit of conceding the first goal in the last few games, so let's try and avoid that and just get a goal and take it from there. Really try and push them, but it's been a pretty highlightless first half so far, as they've got a throw in, but I'm hoping we can just win the ball back and then sort of press forward a little bit as they've come up on the overlap on their right wing. They're playing the ball quite nicely as Bentler plays it back. Now McKennie on the ball, Harriet down to McAllister, and that's blocked. And they've got the ball again. Ball in, Cucurella clears that, and Sabitzer's not going to get there first. Scasibar's picked up a book in his 6th of the season so far. He is a pretty dirty player, I've got to say, but in that role where he's just tackling people, that's pretty much it. He's just winning the ball, and I thought they were going to score there. He's literally just winning the ball, and it makes sense that he gets booked relatively frequently, but at the same time, suspensions, and he's our only really designated defensive midfielder, so I'd prefer him not to get suspended, if I'm honest, as we can launch a counter-attack here, and there's a space open on that right wing, but Kostic, can he find him? He's found Sabitzer, and he really should have scored there. Really should have hit the back of the net, straight at the goalkeeper, as we've got a minute left of stoppage time, and that's not the best corner from Kostic. And can we just half time? It's Cucurella's throwing into Kubo. Back to Cucurella, and that's Sal. What can he do from here? He's got the ball over to Torre. Now that's cleared. Kubo's effort is blocked. Back to Scasibar. There's 30 seconds left of this half. Scasibar into Sal. Now Kostic. Sal. Scasibar has found Torre on the overlap. What can he do from here? And that's blocked. So we've got one chance left from the corner. And Kostic will swing this in. Mustafi's header. And that's off the post. Both posts. Was that off both posts? I think it might have been. It's Kostic again. And that's cleared. Scasibar now. Back into Mustafi. Sal. And that's half time. Right. I can't believe we actually hit both posts with one header there. I'm far from pleased with that. We've been the better team. We should be able to crack on with this and get a goal here. We're getting shots on target. We're getting some opportunities in. It's just we need the ball in the back of the net. Their efforts have been pretty harmless, as Romero's straight a trap. But he was offside anyway, so that's fine. But We just need to, like, you can see that there, we're just completely dominant. Just demand some more. And hopefully that should spur them on to we've got the ball now. We can break here. Kostic on the ball. He's been challenged by McKennie there. Now Rafinha has blocked. But they've still got the ball here. And they're running at us. But can we win the ball back quite high up the pitch? Hector back to Ozan. And we're closing this down really, really well, actually. But they've got him behind us. Rafinha's on the ball. And great save by Trapp. And that's part of the reason why I wanted Trapp in goal ahead of Rono. Like, he's just that little bit better. As the ball comes in, Mustafi clears. But yeah, I mean, that's the difference that I found really by having Trapp back in goal. He just provides that one extra save that Rono just wouldn't. Like, I've seen in a couple of the games so far, stuff like that Rono would have let in, but Trapp is good enough to keep efforts like that away from goal. As they're coming at us once more, and that's over. We're about an hour in, and I think we should make some changes shortly. Well, let's just see what this highlight shows. Is Kubo's free in the middle, and he's got a couple of options ahead of him, but he plays it back to Sal. And now across to Escasibar, and he's got Toure on the overlap in behind the winger, and he's played it back to Kubo, playing some nice football on the edge of their box. Sal now back to Escasibar, and that's Sabitzer. He's got Toure there with him, and the ball in. Elvedi heads that out, and it's only going to go as far as Cucurella. And he's pulled that back to the edge of the box to Escasibar. He finds Toure once more, heads it down to Sabitzer. That's blocked. Escasibar, again, an effort from distance, blocked. And got another highlight shortly afterwards. Sal into Escasibar, over to Toure, and he really likes that pass there. Toure, though, has been challenged by Hector, but it goes past him. Kubo now. Escasibar into Sal. Cucurella to Kubo, and that's just wide of the post. And let's make some changes. And it looks like Sabitzer's not playing well. Zivkovic will come on for him. And then let's take Kostic off for Rebic. And that should be fine for now. Now get creative in there. Try and motivate the players to try and get that goal. And then with 15 minutes left, actually, we'll just watch this highlight quickly before we do anything. As they've got the ball in, and that's over. But we've got 15 minutes left. Let's go attacking here. Move up the tempo a bit wider. And what we'll do is Gouiri's not playing that well, so we'll put player on. And just try and force this. As Zivkovic will take the corner. Now Mustafi, and that's over the bar. Right. Refresh your opposition instructions. As we've got a couple of minutes left, I don't even know what to do. Very attacking. Show some passion. And that's going to be it. Another 0-0. There we go. Another 0-0. And we should have won. We really should have won that. Not the best performance there, but we should have got all 3 points. And that leaves us 7th, just before the winter break. Still in that conversation there. Obviously, if Bayern Munich win, they'll go into 4th on goal difference at least. But we really need to start challenging for these places. I don't think Cologne or Hertha Berlin or Freiburg will be able to maintain that. I think we can start to push in a little bit more. You can see Leipzig aren't doing very well this year either. Neither are Schalke, even though we just drew against them. But it gives an opportunity to us to be able to challenge for these spots in there. And when we come back from the winter break, and I think we'll do that Hamburger game there in the cup, or maybe the league game afterwards against Hoffenheim. One of those two games after the transfer window. Obviously, if the transfer window is still open on the 1st, we'll do the Hoffenheim game. But if not, if it's all done and over with, we'll do that Hamburger game. But that's going to be it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe for future episodes. Make sure you hit that notification bell as well so you don't miss a video, and I'll see you next episode.